Hi there. Thank you and welcome back to Module 1 of our Intro to Business Analysts. In this module, you will understand the techniques and the tools that the business analysts utilize to help the business leaders to be able to meet their objectives and goals. And you will also understand the differences between a business analyst and business analysis. And also, you will learn about different levels of business analysts, from strategic level to tactical level and to operational level. And also, you will also understand how the BAs perform their job from a high level. And by the end of this model, my expectation is for you to be able to understand the duties and the responsibilities of the BA in an organization. So in this model, I will be giving a real life examples and scenarios from start to when you first get your job, the approach that you need to take before you can start the job, and also expectations that they will need from you, especially from your stakeholders or either your supervisor. So it is very, very important for you to pay attention because many years ago, when I started as a BA, this is one of the critical part of my life, how I become successful in terms of my career today. So I really want you to pay attention to this, and this is going to help you. So let's dive in more into what is business analysis and what is business analyst. So there are two, they are kind of different. Because the business analysis, basically, this is the tools and this is the techniques that the BA utilize to help organization to meet their goals and to achieve their objectives. And also this is a practice of enabling change in an organization context, and by defining needs and also by recommending a solution that deliver value to the stakeholders. So there are a couple of techniques that the BA utilize to help organization to get to where they want to be. And this is defined by the Guide to the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, Babcock. So I really want you to look at it from this angle, because the way I teach, I really want you to kind of understand, every piece of words and what I'm communicating for you to understand. So look at it from an example. Let's say McDonald's, they're trying to enhance their current order management today. And for example, you know that if you go to McDonald's and you're trying to buy anything, you have to first either you go through the drive-through, or you walk into to the shop and place your order. And the process you're trying to enhance is the drive-through process. So they feel like, let's assume that the process is not helping them in terms of operation efficiency. And also the revenue is impacting their revenue. And they want you to come in and to you kind of help them to enhance that process, right? So what do you need to do? So before you can be able to embark on that project, right? The tools and the techniques that will guide you to make it a successful one is what we call the business analysis. You have to understand the tools. You have to understand the tools that you need to use at the right time. You also have to understand the techniques that you need to use or to put in place to be able to understand the current process and also how you can be able to provide a solution to their needs. Now let's switch a little bit back to what is BA or business analyst. So business analyst is this is just a title. A system analyst can be a BA. A product owner can perform a work of a BA, right? And a BA, a successful BA would transition into a product ownership and also further would transition after product owner, you transition into a product manager. From product manager, you move on to more ladder to a senior product manager and a director and a VP of product and and so on and so forth, chief of product, right? So this is a very, very good career. If either you are a college student, you just graduated from college, or you're trying to transition from your current job now to be a world, this is very good. And I will teach you every bit of techniques and tools to be successful. So that's the difference, you know. The business analyst is just a title, but the analysis part is the major work that the BA, do to be able to help the organization, the business leaders to get to where they need to go. So let's move on to the steps of certification. So there are a couple of steps of certification that you have to take. But my recommendation is for you before you take this certification, if you get a job, that's okay, that's good. Then you can come back. And if you feel like you want to get a certification before you get a job, that's okay too. But my first recommendation is for you to get a job first, and you can go back and you know do your certification, right? That's my own preference, right? So if you're a college graduate, right, you can start with the level one, and if you're a BA and you kind of have maybe up to 1 or 2 years of experience, you can go with the CCBA. And the CBAB, it's a more senior, and the level four, it's more senior than the senior BA, So that's the ranking of the certification. So this is going to help you. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what the BA does. And before we dive into that, so I'll quickly, touch base on what exactly does the BA do in a high level context. So they play a multifaceted role that involves bringing the gap between the business needs and technology solutions. Let me start with the applied knowledge of processes. So the BA, the applied knowledge of processes in every process improvement. I'll go back to the McDonald's use case. McDonald's business leaders want to enhance their current process. Okay. Now, before the BA can be able to start recommending a solution, it needs to understand the knowledge. It needs to have a deep knowledge of the current process, and after that, by the time he introduces his own approach, his own techniques, he will introduce and provide a recommendation on which of the, new process they have to embark on. Next is ensure requirements are valid. During the requirement analysis and requirement gathering, the BAs what they do is every requirement they gather from the business stakeholders, they ensure that each requirement are valid. The, so most of the time, they invite the engineering team, either from the back-end engineering or maybe from the front-end engineering or from the architect or, so all the engineering team, the key folks from engineering, they ensure that, they understand what it needs to be done. And the requirement is easy to be tested, is valid, is straightforward, is consigned, and also is relevant to their needs. Moving on to what they do, the BA identify possible improvement to the business. So going back to the McDonald's use case, the McDonald's use case, they want to enhance their current process. Let's say before customers can be able to purchase anything from them, right? They have to go through like maybe 2, 3 steps or maybe 5 steps, but they would like to reduce that steps into 2 or 3 steps. So the BAs kind of introduce, an approach that will help him to be able to understand the current challenges and also understand the future state. So most of the time, what the BA does is they invite the key stakeholders. So most of these key stakeholders, they have been working with this organization for many years. They understand the in and out of the organization. Okay. So they will gather all this vital information from them, and they will also provide their challenges and what they think it should be better, the nice to have, must have. So this is a great technique that you can learn if you want to be a business analyst and you want to enhance or you want to improve a process from the current state to be or the future state. Brainstorming section, it's a good forum or it's a good section that you can be able to start with, right? Now, the next one is to examine the needs of the business. So most during the requirement gathering, the BAs, what they do is they examine the needs of the business by asking them good questions, open-ended questions. Why do you want to embark on this solution? So what is your current challenges? Can you give me the list of feature you think will help your organization to move forward or to improve your operation efficiency, So these are part of the examination and evaluation they evaluate, and they do a lot of benchmarking to kind of see what is out there versus what the solution they're trying to support. And moving on is they also facilitate feedback a lot, After they've gathered the requirement, they ensure that they have a loop back, requirement loop back process. They go back to the business leaders just to ensure that everything everything that was communicated, he has already documented them, but he just want to make sure that the BA want to make sure that everything, there's alignment between him or her and the business. So you need to also do that if you happen to land your first job. Moving on is they also ensure solutions satisfy the needs of the business. So during the pre-grooming and grooming of every requirement that he has already translated, right? They communicate clearly to the engineers what the business wants, right? Their needs in a technical language. So this is the language that the engineering team understand. So this is a way of helping the business, to meet their needs. You make sure that you ensure the solution that the engineering are building satisfy the needs of the business stakeholder. The business stakeholders can be your customer, can be somebody a stakeholder from your sales team, your marketing team, or HR or finance. It doesn't matter. As long as all these, they're not engineers, right? A stakeholder can also be an engineering team as well. So just to let you know that. And also, the BAs gather requirement. So this is one of the core skills of the business analyst. So during the requirement gathering section, there's a lot of techniques when it comes to elaboration techniques or elicitation techniques. You have to understand that you don't have to use all techniques every time. You will learn more about all these techniques later in this course. But for now, I really want you to understand what they do in general. Then later on, you definitely understand all these techniques. But I'm going to give an example. Let's say you only have one or two stakeholders that you want to gather requirement from. You don't have to use the judge section because judge section it's you have to deal with a lot of stakeholders. So in this case, in this type of scenario, you have to use what we call focus group. So a focus group is a technique that when you want to gather requirement, you have to focus on maybe two people. And those are the two stakeholders that you gather a requirement from. Now, let's talk a little bit about the documentation of requirements. So this is also another core skill of a BA. They they're professionals. They know how to document the requirements and also translate those requirements very well. Documentation of requirement, it can be a business requirement document, BRD. It can be a user stories. It can be a functional, functional requirement documentation or system requirement documentation. So it can be a design documentation. So all this documentation, BAs know how to, document them very well in a way that it'll be very, very solid. And moving on to another, roles and what they do, be also advocate for the business. What I mean by advocate for the business is that the business, it's always very hard for them to communicate with the engineers. So most of the time, the BAs is the one that will collect their requirement and the BA, they will translate that requirement to the engineering team. So, and moving on, they also ensure use of a common language. So what do I mean by that? So it's kind of similar to the advocating for the business because they're kind of the intermediary between the engineering and also the business folks. So most of the time, the requirement gathering and making sure that the requirement is solid, they gather the requirement, they ask a lot of questions, they confirm from the engineer if it's a solution they can be able to do, or is a requirement that they can be able to support. So all this back and forth, that's what the BAs does, and just to ensure that solution meets the needs of the business. Moving on to the next, roles and also what they do, what they do in general. The BAs ensure that needs of the business are met. What did I mean by that? So I gave you a requirement, or I'm a BA, or maybe I kind of employ somebody as a BA. So the BA, the role and the responsibility of that BA is to ensure that your requirement is met. For example, let's say you ask somebody to help you to build a website, and you told the BA that this is your website, the landing should look like this, the contact page should look like this. So the BA, his job is to make sure that your needs are met. And how do they do that? The BA will definitely communicate to the engineering team, and the engineering team will build. Engineering can build anything, anything. So it will make sure that the acceptance criteria meet your needs and your wants. That's exactly what they do. So moving on to the identifying risk. So the BA also identify risk during during the start of the project or even during the development phase. So what I mean identifying risk is if there's a dependency, either internal or external dependency, the BA call it out during the start of a project. So it's always very, very important if you happens to be a BA or you are planning to become a BA one day. So try as much as possible to identify risk early. It's very, very crucial. This is going to help you. And this is also going to build a good relationship with your customer. Another job or roles that what they perform is the BA, they design new business processes. So before let me go back to the McDonald's use case. So before they can be able to recommend or seal the final process, the BA will it will sketch out more like I'll call it mocks or prototypes of how the process is going to look like. It will carve out the current state, probably maybe with Visio or maybe with Figma or any design tool to kind of show the current state and also to show the to be, which is future state. So they do all that as well. And the BA also keep management informed every risk or everything that's going on in terms of the project progress and all that stuff. They work with the product, yeah, they work with the program, work with project management, and most of the time, if there's any issue, the BAs also communicate to the customer as well. Then on the final note, the BA justify changes. So if a change needs to happen, you have to go to do that change has to go through a change management process. And most of the time, before they can be able to change their requirement, the work of the BA is to provide a business, what we call a business justification, why that requirement must change and the value that will bring to the business. So that is what they do in a quick high level. We're still going to learn more about what the BA does, later in this model one. So let's move on to who is a business analyst in general. So the business analyst act as an intermediate between the business and the IT department. They are expert in business strategy, problem solving, and business management. For example, I'm gonna give you a quick example, and I will use this example more and more. Let's assume that I'm a business owner and I have a big shop and I have a lot of traffic, but I don't have a mobile application. And let's assume that I would like to implement a mobile application. And my goal and my objective is I want to be able to drive all my traffic to this mobile app so that I can have less traffic in my shop. And at the same time, everything has to be automated through my mobile app, buying, getting receipts, emails, automation, everything, right? So in this kind of scenario, I don't have any engineering that I need to talk to. I don't know how to talk to the engineering. So I have to, seek the help of the business analyst. If you look at this picture, right? The lady, she is the business. Let's say I'm let's say the lady, she's the owner of the shop, right? And what they do is they will get all the requirements. They know how to gather those requirements and they know how to translate the requirement from a business, which is BRD, business requirement document, into what we call a functional and a non-functional requirement. Example of a functional requirement can be, I want to have the ability to be able to download a historical report of all the patients I've worked with in the last 10 years. An example of a non-functional requirement, you're talking about performance, you're talking about security, right? You're talking about latency of time when you, let's say you sign in into your Gmail account or whatever email account you have to when the system boots into your landing. So those are types of a non-functional requirement. So this is kind of what the BA does in a real life scenario. They collect that requirement, they translate them into a functional, non-functional requirement, they decompose them into what we call a user stories. You will still learn more about user stories later in this class. So let's quickly talk about the day in the life of the business analyst. So in a nutshell, the business analysts they partner with the business to understand a new process. So for example, let's go back to the McDonald's use case. McDonald's want to enhance their current order management process. Now the BA will sit with the business leader and the BA will ask them why they want to embark on enhancing or streamlining their current process. So they can say, well, the reason why we want to embark on this is because we're losing money and we're trying to, enhance our process. And based on the research that we've gotten, based on the data that we receive through a survey, it looks like our process is not good enough. And from the data, it looks like if we can reduce um, the steps, right? Maybe to 2 steps, because today we have 5 steps before customer can be able to get their order, right? It's okay. And the BA is okay, that's a good point. And so this is exactly what the BA does, right? They first understand the objectives. After that, the BA will come up with an approach. Like I mentioned earlier, right? We can come up with introducing a brainstorming section. And this section is going to help you to bring all the key stakeholders on board and gather their pain point and also, what they think to be better for them to move their process forward. Next one, they work on new user stories with developers. They sit with the developers during the pre-grooming and grooming, and they communicate what the needs are in a way that the engineers will understand. You'll learn more about Agile framework in this class. They also, sit on this daily stand-up. The daily stand-up is part of Agile Scrum ceremonies, and this daily stand-up is part of the sprint because sprint is the heart of the Scrum, right? So you still learn more about this framework. It's always very important to understand the Agile framework, which I'm gonna touch base deep. I'll talk more about it later in this class. And moving on, they also update the documentation for audit. They work with the IT auditors and the security expert in an organization. And they also keep track of deployment and production. So they work with the program team, the project team to ensure that the milestones, everything is going on well. If there's going to be any issue, they work with the program team and communicate that to the key stakeholders. And finally, the update leadership about the progress, kind of similar to the tracking of the deployment and production. So in a nutshell, the business analysts seek first to understand the organization ITs when it comes to streamlining the current process, and they imagine how it could be in future. They shape their understanding of the desired future state by listening to the leaders, the stakeholders, subject matter expert, and project team members. The business analyst then devise ways to get the organization from where it is, where you want it to be or needs to be, right? So this is one of the key key thing that I want you to kind of understand what they do and how they do their job. So let's quickly deep dive more on their roles and the responsibilities of the BA. So the business analysts primarily work on project teams and as part of their days, regular duties and tasks. A business analyst may perform some or all of this following. They work in a cooperation with their project managers. They work on more than one project at a time. So most constantly reevaluate the priorities and deadlines. They gain an understanding of the organization business processes relevant to the project goals. They document processes to help refine the problem the project is trying to solve. Documentation almost always involves diagrams, modeling, and how it works. So what exactly is modeling diagrams? So just look at it from a design perspective, a graphical representation of how the solution is going to look like, or the user journey from when let's say you're trying to build a mobile application, a website, or maybe enterprise application, right? From when you land on that website, or from when you download the app from the Google Play or App Store to when you fill out all your credentials, your first name, last name. So these are kind of a modeling, right? And also they figure out how the actual work differs from established policy, procedures, and protocol. The brainstorm requirements, a solution needs to have anticipating requirement gathering to ensure the knowledge has as much depth and context as possible. And finally, they fleshed out the details of business solution, which require a good understanding of how technological solutions are implemented. So these are one of the duties that the BA, perform in every organization. So let's quickly, talk more about the skills. So this is very, very crucial. So if you want to be a BA, you have to ensure that you have a strong listening skills. It's very important. So I'm going to teach you one thing. When you become a BA, if you know that you're still struggling, ensure you record your conversation or find somebody to help you to document. This is very important. You also, another skill of the BA is the facilitate. The facilitation and elicitation techniques is solid. So you have to be able to hold a meeting. You have to be able to control the crowd. You have to be able to make sure that, if you're asking questions, likely be an open-ended question. And you have to ensure that your question is relevant to what exactly is the project is all about. So another skill is the BA has is they have a good verbal communication skills. This is one of the core skills of the BA, good verbal communication, and their communication is very, very excellent. And also the BA have a strong problem-solving skills. So let's say the business owners, right? They have the idea, but they don't know how to come up with a solution. The BA or kind of new feature, the BA comes in and he kind of recommend, okay, what about if we have this feature? What do you think? So they're very strong in that kind of area. So you can build yourself as well, Um, so moving on, they also have a strong stakeholders management. You have to build a good relationship with your customer. So this is another core skill that you must have. And then also the BA, they have a strong analysis skill. They can read data easily. Benchmarking, they do a lot of benchmarking, how others are doing their thing outside. They bring that back to the organization and, they can do better. So that's part of analysis as well. The BA, they have a strong critical thinking. So you have to, be the voice of customer. And if you're a voice of customer, your critical thinking, providing recommendation, think out of the box. This is another thing that will make you be successful as a BA. So for the visual modeling, the BA, I mentioned this earlier, just look at it as a diagram or graphical representation They know how to use the different tools like Visual, Figma to be able to draw a graphic representation of how a solution is going to look like, the future state. And also they're very strong at negotiating skill. So if you find yourself as a VA, either during the development work or maybe during requirement gathering, you must be able to negotiate very well during the requirement because you can find yourself with a stakeholder that is trying to impose a requirement on you. What will you do? So you have to make sure that you get an expert to help you to do some analysis. And from there, then you go with this, we go with the feedback from the engineering team. And that's exactly what you're going to stick with. That's part of negotiation, right? And then finally, they know how to build relationship. So these are all the skills of the BA. So I hope this is helpful. Now, let's quickly dive into the principle of the business analysis. This is very, very, very important. So the business analysis focuses on both the problems as well as opportunities. There are three fundamentally different levels of the business analysis. The strategic business analysis, this is at the enterprise level. Tactical business analysis, these are the project level. And the operational business analysis, these are the operational level. Now, strategic, tactical, and operational, they're different levels. So I will, touch base on these, deep dive more in our next slide. Now, let's quickly dive in more on these three levels. So the strategic level, this is the study of business vision, goals, objectives, and strategies to identify a desired future. It encompasses the analysis of existing organizational structure, policies, politics, problems, opportunities, and application architecture to build a business case for change. Now, let me explain this in a real life scenario. Let's say you're a BA and you happen to be a senior business analyst. Now, you'll find yourself working with the senior directors, executives, VPs, because this is at the highest level. So these guys, they know they already carve out the business vision, their goals and objectives. Now they want somebody to kind of help them to come up with a business case, cost benefit analysis, and also do some analysis in terms of if they embark on this journey, what is the political impact or what is the policies that they can put in place that it won't affect them financially or it won't affect them legally, right? So you come in and you will build what we call a business case. A business case, this is a documentation that will outline the reason why the business must go with this direction. And let's assume that maybe what they want to do, they want to build an enterprise application that will allow them to be able to hone an online auto just like an e-commerce auto website, right? Where you can just go there, like Amazon, you can buy auto parts in the large scale and the customer side is solid just like Amazon, right? But they want to make sure that they want to do a due diligence in terms of what are the legal implications or what about the politics or problems and opportunities they may face, right? What are the opportunities? Or, so if you look at it from the SWOT analysis, right, opportunities, and, so the BA is kind of come in, do some market analysis, and work with the marketing team to ensure that they gather some data. And through that data, they can make a decision that, okay, yes, we can go with this direction. Now, let's talk about the tactical business analyst. This is at the project on the initiative level to flush out the details of the proposed solution and to ensure that it's meet the needs of the business community. At this level, the business analyst identifies impacted stakeholders, capture their individual concerns, elicit stakeholders' requirements, they conduct visibility analysis, and also they analyze and prioritize the requirement and manage changes requirement throughout the life of the project. So at this level, now you're now starting to flush out the details because you already know, you already gathered, yeah. So look at it from this way, right? The strategic level is at the top level, enterprise level, where you need a business case, you need to gather some data, right, to make some research, both quantity and qualitative research. Then at the tactical level, you already know the direction you're going, and you can flush out the strategy. If there's a payment strategy they want to put in place, if there's a fixture that you want to put in place, if there's an API that you have to incorporate, or what kind of architecture the application must have. Is it monolithic or is it microservices architecture? So this is where you have to flush out all these details with the key stakeholders from the architectural team, from the back-end team, from the front-end team, from the API team. So this is the level where you start flushing out all the requirement. After you flush out the requirement, how the solution is going to look like, you still need to work with the business stakeholders by gathering their own requirement, how the front end is going to look like. Well, the front end is going to determine how the back end is going to look like. If the front end needs to have a kind of a huge data, you'll be consuming a lot of data, right? So you have to make sure that if you want to use a cloud-based like AWS or Google Cloud to kind of, streamline your data consumption, right? So this is kind of the engine of, you know, uh, streamlining and ensuring that the requirement is solid, right? Before the solution can be done. Now, so after the tactical level, you move on to the operational level. At this level, this is the level where you start working with the Agile Scrum team. You've already decomposed the requirement from a business requirement into a technical requirement. Now you're now communicating with the Agile Scrum team through user stories, explaining what they need to do, making sure that the solution they are building meets the needs of the business. So this is the principle. With this is going to help you uh, at the long run. So I want you to kind of listen to this slide because this is very, very crucial. If you have any question, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer your question, and feel free to shoot me an email. So let's quickly touch base on the summary. So we've learned about what the business analyst does. You've also learned about the principles of the business analysis. We've learned about the differences between the BA and the business analysis. Now, I'll have a quick exercise for you, and I really want you to kind of go through the exercise, answer it. If you have any question, please let me know. Send me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer your question. Thank you so much for listening to Module 1, and let's move on to Module 2. Thank you.